getting ready for topography, you're thinking, well, what is topography? We're going to click on the formative worksheet for photography. Again, it downloads into Notability. And when I learned about topography, I looked at the word topography, and that's like type. So studying different types and fonts and how that communicates. So number one, preview the topography PowerPoint and the video directions that we're doing right now. Create your own definition of topography. Why is topography important when communicating on social media? And why is topography important when communicating to clients, professional presentations, like in the business world? Then, this might be trickier than what you think. Gather 5 logos that have iconic, like branded topography. Now, here's mine. Anytime we see a brown package with this type of blue block lettering that's somewhat italicized, we think of Snickers. And Snickers has used this topography branding because they can put things that are spelled incorrectly. They have all sorts of things like hangry and things like that, and you still recognize it as a Snickers bar because of that distinct topography. So I want you to find 5 other logos, all right? And think about, you can think about products you use or buy, but we're so used to seeing that set of fonts, maybe the colors with it, and you can think, I know what that is, all right? So that's your first thing. Then I'm going to have you label the following logos and symbolism that communicate without topography. That means, how do things communicate even without the words? And I did one here that's like Shell Petroleum Company. But again, our eyes are brains and are learning how symbols also communicate without the words and topography as well. So label those like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you start thinking about abstract symbols, they might not have any logical or representational connection between them and what they represent. So I want you to gather 5 symbols that need to be taught to be understood, like this. Represents breast cancer. So again, it's not a topography symbol. It's not related visually to the symbol. We have to learn what it means to understand. So gather 5 of those. And I believe that's all you need to do for your formative worksheet. So let's backtrack a little bit. Here's a PowerPoint that, again, talks about those main points about topography. It's just loading. Okay, so here we go. So again, now that we're starting to think about topography, we can actually see a list right here of, it's so nice to be able to just highlight something and change up fonts. So what is topography? Topography is the art or writing type. It's using type in various graphic designs to obtain particular effects. So back in the day, they would actually have to print each single thing. They'd have type that you'd have to put the type down, put the paper on in ink, and press it. So you could actually see what they had to do before. That's how they made the first books, was all typeset, and you can see that coming up. Before there was that, people would do carved or drawn hieroglyphics also as well. It says before Gutenberg and the Gutenberg press, various civilizations had developed a variety of alphabets and methods for writing. Okay, so then we can kind of go through here. Here's that Gutenberg press and the movable type from 1440. That's how long people have been trying to learn how to do different types of printing. Before then, everything had to be just drawn by hand, like the scribes and the monks that would do the illuminated letters from like the Bibles. Everything was done by hand. So this is what I was talking about, like that movable type. And you'd have to pick all those out, lay them down, look at different sizes, and print and ink those. So you can see like what even the printing presses would look like back in the day before it says pre-digital technology. So then you can see even after that, graphic design was actually called commercial arts and commercial graphics. So a lot of typeset had to be done again by hand. And then you can see how pretty soon they were using different types of computers, different kinds of typesetting. And then pretty soon our first computers, when I was in high school, we had one computer in the classroom and it looked pretty much similar to this. And we thought we were like high tech because we actually had a computer. All right, so I'm going to have you backtrack. I don't know what happened to the PowerPoint, but I'll open it back up again. It's just being a little odd. I'll cross my fingers. So again, you'll have a number of assignments that you're actually going to be creating in typography. Some of it will be by hand and some of it will be, again, on the computer. So let me scoot back down. Sorry for this weirdness of the internet, right? It's life. So we get to kind of peek again. So like when I used to do signs and stuff like that, a lot of it I had to just do by hand. There was no computers. So a lot of printing. That's back in the day when I was actually learning more about fonts and actually doing things by hand, meaning also like calligraphy and things like that. So we're learning about different typefaces and what ones are easier to read through. And we know, especially like through texting, that we know that if things are bold or italics, you can see what that would be like and how that sometimes changes mood, especially bold or caps. I'm thinking more like caps too. It really can change the mood or the emotion. My son reminds me of that too, quite a bit. It's like, why are you putting that all in caps? Are you mad? I'm like, no, just I'm old and I see caps better. So again, this one is kind of unique. It says the type size affects the design. So sometimes you can work with that too, just changing part of it. You can see this especially like when you start to really look at type in advertising. So you can see where they had, we usually read left to right, so that actually helps us as well. These are all horizontal, horizontal, horizontal. This is more almost handwritten, but it's more at an angle, it's a little more informal, and it really does catch your eye. So again, even though the same kind of reds and blacks were used for the color fonts, this one really does come forward a little bit more and make it just kind of pop. Okay. Sometimes tilting font, like skewing it, really catches your eye. So just realizing like which one catches your eye. They did white on black, not always black on white that we see, and tilted a little bit. So the next thing, again, is going to be talking about icons and dexital signs and symbols like we were looking at. And again, we're getting used to what a lot of these means. We know like the search button, we know like for Word documents and things that have a lock and different things that are symbolized. We don't typically think about a phone this way anymore, do we though? So anyways, some symbols that we see now have emotional response. They almost have a history. They almost have a meaning for them. And this one I'm going to scoot over a little bit. This is for other types of signs, symbols need to be taught. And they said there's social and cultural considerations. Sometimes flags, colors, costumes, religious images, they're all part of culture. And we start to look at these and then they represent different things to different people, even at different times. So we have to start realizing that these symbols, even though they don't have type and typography, they're also a communicative tool. So for us, it's starting to learn how to be literate, like literacy, but visual literacy is part of it. So what's the first assignment you're going to do? I want you to write your name 10 times in different gradients. I think I said if you do 10 times, try different gradients if you can get that, putting in patterns. So you're going to do your name 10 times that way. I did make some Photoshop directions for this if you want to learn how to work with type and different type of type tools and how to fill in areas. I usually learn how to do a gradient fill, and pretty soon I learned how to do like a paste into feature. So again, learning how to do it that way, or again, enjoy any other app. You don't have to be a Photoshop person. You can, do a few in one app, do a few in a different app, and just save them to your document. All right, so then you get more examples. This one right here, done back in the day on black, He even put a border on it, but all these colors really pop. All right, and he was learning how to tilt, and sometimes you can do that by getting the anchors and moving it, or a little transformation. But again, so name 10 times. Then you're going to go old school and do one at home. That says you're going to do a descriptive word by hand. And you can see the examples here. And you can choose one of these words. If you want a different word, let me know. And think about how you would represent that word. The third thing you're going to do is go to your computer. And I found some different tutorials and different like fonts. Flaming text is cool because you can just type it in. There's Graffiti Creator. There's all sorts of fun ones, and you can actually write different things in different fonts and just kind of screenshot it. And it's just kind of neat. So I'm actually going to have you write a descriptive word now. It doesn't have to be the same word from here, but make it kind of fit with different colors, different font, things like that. And I do want you to also look at this YouTube clip because it's really cool. It's actually using the words themselves to cover the meaning. Like, so what does pain look like? And it's kinetic, meaning it moves. So this is almost beyond now. It's even going to more animated topography. So it's like a whole history of that. So there is a topography summative worksheet and formative. And I do believe that both of these grade sheets are due about this day, depending on when you take this course. All right. Well, enjoy topography, old school, new school, and enjoy.